Next, I would like to invite Bøe-Lillegraven. And Thor is the CDO of Schiphol Airport. And please stay with us.
Yeah, I stay.
Next.
Hey, Rob. Hey.
Hey, Thor.
Hey, Rob. Woohoo.
You would sing.
You would sing.
I said I would say woohoo and not sing.
All right, okay. There we are. Thor, we have the smartest port of the world. And we have Europe's leading digital airport.
Yes.
After 2 years of lockdown, passengers flow are picking up. So what has happened in the last 2 years?
Well, I think the right question to ask is what has not happened the past 2 years. So pandemics, wars, all kinds of things. And I think that for me, both as a person and also a work person, it has been a really turbulent time. And I think that goes for most of us here in the audience. And I think that at Schiphol, we also saw a tremendous impact. So all of you stopped traveling, mostly. And over the past few years, we've had a huge drop in passenger numbers and also airside movements. The one thing that has picked up is actually cargo, and that is from all of us sitting at home ordering stuff online that has to be shipped into the Netherlands. And I think that when you have a crisis such as this, there are a couple of different ways of approaching it. One is indeed to stay home. And at Schiphol, we stayed at home at the airport, but also spent that time really well. So we did quite some work around our technology and data infrastructure to make sure that when people start coming back, and they are now, that we're prepared, and we have some really cool stuff that can help improve the passenger experience. Many of you will maybe travel this week for the Meevakantie or this summer, and hopefully you will see that it's a nice experience coming back and also going where you need to go.
Yes. Thor, Schiphol has always been at the forefront of using data. So what is maybe the coolest thing you've done in the last 2 years that we can now see or experience if we travel again?
The coolest thing for me was a very simple thing. During COVID, we also had a lot of people who wanted or had to travel. And one of the big challenges we have were the 1.5 meter rule. How do you actually manage that in an airport environment? Now, what our data scientists did, which was something that was really cool, was create a model where we were actually tracking all cell phones across the airport to actually be able to see when it got to be too crowded, so literally too saturated areas with too many people. And that is something that we then provided as a service. So if you were at Schiphol, you can go into the app, you could click and look at the hotspots, and then make sure to avoid those areas so you knew that you could keep your distance. Now that is a very practical thing that we built, deployed. Hopefully, or fortunately, we closed it off now. It's no longer required. We also know if it comes back, we can also deploy it again. And the second thing I think is more fundamental when it comes to our operations. We've implemented some really cool computer vision technologies. That means that when we track the whole turnaround process on the planes, we can accurately predict what may happen and also make sure that things don't happen so you get on time where you need to go. And that is stuff that we were not able to do a couple of years ago. So I'm super excited about all of those things.
Yes. And if you think about that information which allows for better planning, better forecasting, how do you work with, I mean, traditionally there was always a fight with the airlines, who owns the customer. How do you go about it now?
Well, so I'm just a data guy, so I don't get into politics or economics. I'm there to help passengers get where they need to go, get them there safely, and also make sure we run an efficient airport. And I think this is also how I approach it, through the data, if you will. And I think one of the wonderful things about Schiphol, and a key reason why I started there, is that it is one of the most digitized airports in the world. So it means that we have a lot of data about most anything we do. Now, one of the challenges is sometimes ways of working. So you do have people who are used to, let's say, not using their data, but using the gut feeling. You know, this is how I think it will look like. And we are really starting to shift that. And if you look at this whole planning and forecasting cycle, you have to think about then what the airport is. And if you ask a data guy or a data science guy, they will say, well, it's just a huge optimization problem. You have supply and demand, airplanes and people. And literally every day we have to manage situations like getting all of you into 1 or 2 planes. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on. And this is where the platforms come in. So first of all, you need to be able to forecast, you know, what's going to happen today, what's going to happen on Saturday, this summer. also all the way through this winter. And from that, you need to start planning. So how many planes, how many people do we need at the gates, how many security monitors, and so forth. And it used to be that all of this would sit in the stomachs of a lot of people, but now we have data on this. We're also building systems and platforms that mean that people can still use what they have in the stomach, but also get the fact from the data and probably do better planning. So.
Of course, we got a visual to underline your story. So, Hjalmar, please, the role of these systems here, and especially related to the total airport management, I would guess, right?
Yeah, it is indeed, it is the total airport management system, and it is especially what Thor already said, it is about the forecasting. So what we have implemented together, and it really went live last week actually, is the integrated planning and forecasting system. Yeah, that we have as an industry solution basically, also supplying other airports. But I think the good thing is, and where really the added value will start coming in, is that you will really have one integrated system now for planning and forecasting, with a huge, let's say, data in it, yeah, that can be further deployed and translated in not only, I think, in insights, but potentially even as services towards the customers, like the airlines, and of course also like the travelers, like you and me. So that is really the key contribution that we do at this moment, and hopefully we will add all the nice digital layers on top of it as a next phase.
Right. So Thor, how important are such partnerships?
Yeah, so the aviation industry is an ecosystem that's all about partnerships. I mean, previously I had roles where it was more the winner takes it all, but that's definitely not the case in aviation. So everyone is literally working together to get all of you safely where you need to go. And I think if you look at Schiphol, our digital journey has been ongoing for quite some time. When you come to the airport, it's still a very physical space. But underneath the hood, so to say, we're becoming more like a tech and data company in the way we think, how we invest, and also the types of services we build. And to do that, we also need to work with technology partners, you know, who's been on this journey for longer than we have, to help us with this. So T-System is one of many partners that we work with, and we'll continue to do so on this journey.
Right. I would say, time for a final question here. So Hjalmar, do you see similar movements in the industry, or do you also see total new trends in the industry where you would say, well, this is one to pick?
I think there are the common themes, the obvious themes, and it is depending, of course, industry by industry where the priorities are. But the whole digital enablement was also in the previous story of Heineken as an example. But we, as T-Systems, are also supporting our large automotive customers with connected cars as an example. It's all about digitalization, and it is all about how to enable it, where I think you still have two worlds. The legacy type of systems and difficult infrastructures and integrations with all kinds of applications, and how to really put that digital on top of it to really enable the customer experience, do it in an effective and an efficient way, and also driving the sustainability goals. Yeah? Right. So the world is getting even more complex about the criteria that we ask for together. Right. And that is the interesting challenge of the whole digitalization journey.
Great. I can't withhold myself to ask that last question, Thor. IoT or AI?
AI.
Ladies and gentlemen, Thor and Hjalmar, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.